Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hello. My name is Dr. Tonicia Freeman-Foster. I am located in Tampa Bay, Florida. As someone who's experienced cancer and working in toxic work environments, my goal is to help leaders understand that their platform is different from their purpose and to help them reclaim their power, wellness, and joy. My story started out as someone that thought that there was a mistaken identity. I had flowers delivered to me, and it was Valentine's Day. It was warm, sunny outside, and the flowers were not what my husband would have bought. So I knew that was the wrong flowers. The florist later came and brought different flowers. What that began is a journey of having health symptoms. At first, it was like these plants had pollen on them. And so I ended up at the doctor's office, and I found that while the flowers were a mistaken identity, that my diagnosis was not. Later, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The journey of that has been one of ups and downs and just really embracing what life has to offer. And so it started on a warm, sunny day in August, and I went to my doctor's office for just a regular checkup. And he heard what sounded to be a heart murmur. It turns out that that was not a heart murmur, but we didn't find out until later on. Once we found out, I went to the doctor's office for follow-up, but there have been so many signs along the way that I felt that I knew that they were going to tell me that I had cancer. And it was just random. Like I would hear commercials on the radio about cancer. I would be passing by billboards, and it was almost like these digital billboards had timed my vehicle. And it was a cancer ad, a billboard from Moffitt that would be on the billboard. It would be on television. And so I felt like this was God's way of preparing me for what was about to happen. And so once my doctor gave me this diagnosis, I don't even remember the moment. It was like I could hear her talking about it and see her mouth moving, but it was all foreign. And I couldn't cry, I couldn't feel, just numb. And so I remember the day being hot and being warm. It was like the world had stopped and it was silent and everything was clear. And I gave myself at that moment two options, either to fight or to fold. And from that moment forward, I decided to fight. I decided to understand the origin, if I could, of the cancer and understand how I could navigate this better. How could I be stronger? And not to say, why me, but like, what is this trying to teach me? What can I learn from this? And how can I use what I've learned to empower other leaders, to empower them to prioritize their health? And so throughout the journey of 26 rounds of radiation and 6 months of chemo, I took a step back and just listen to what my body was saying, listen to the silence, listen to the voices around me, around what was I supposed to be doing as a leader? And many people, they did not know I was navigating this because I did not want people to take things away from me, to take work away from me that I really enjoy. And for some people, work is overwhelming and stressful. For me, I was doing something that I really love, working with the young adults who were experiencing mental health, and I wanted to protect that. I needed that. That was my thing to help me get up in the morning, to help me move forward, in addition to my family and my loved ones, of course. And so I protected that. I didn't want people to know because I didn't want them to say, maybe she's not strong enough for this meeting. Maybe she's not strong enough to do this thing, or we don't want to bother her because we know she's sick. And so I protected it and I continued to go on. And there were times where maybe I needed to go to a doctor's appointment and I was able to ask someone else to fill in. But moving forward, I just continued to grow and to learn from it. And I think there are a few things that it taught me is first to live now. A lot of times people wait and they have this magic number in their head, like when I get to be this age, then I'll retire and I'll start doing these things. And it was a reminder in that moment that we're not promised tomorrow. We're not even promised the next minute or the next hour. And so we can do both, work and live now. The other thing that cancer taught me is to live fully. What are those things that you always wanted to do? And so now I lead with that. Like, what is it that I want to do that I've been too afraid to do? And if I could navigate cancer and radiation and chemo and come out on the other side healthier and wiser, there's nothing I can't do. And so I learned how to swim as an adult, going to swim lessons. And I would talk to myself the day before swim lessons and the morning of and say, listen, you can do this. Water's going to get in your nose, water's going to get in your eyes and ears, and it's okay. And even more so, you can stand up. You're almost 6 feet tall. You're over 6 feet tall. You can stand up so it can't go bad. I went zip lining for the first time. Again, it's like this is something that I'm interested in doing that I have been afraid of doing. But you are afraid of cancer and you beat it. You were able to navigate it. And so the world is your oyster. Like you can do whatever you put your mind to. And so that has been super inspiring to me. And it's been super inspiring just to help other leaders who are really taking work really seriously, not taking time to eat properly, not taking time to take care of themselves, and not going to their doctor's appointments, and understanding the importance of it. Understanding that you don't have to be a statistic to become a statistic. That for me, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma did not run in my family. And if you look at the statistics, I don't like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but it found me. And so, again, while those flowers were mistaken identity, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was not. It chose me. And so I needed to listen to that story. Um, and within that, just learning, again, the importance of health, the importance of wellness, the importance of joy, and finding something to laugh about every day. I think that's super important that, yes, there are serious things going on in life, and we can still exist in a world that's serious and in a world that we have to be aware of where we're at and have to be aware of how we show up, but we can still experience joy within that. And so those are some of the things that cancer taught me. And those are some of the things that I teach other leaders, like being aware of it and being aware of things. Maybe sometimes you're not feeling well, and just being aware of that you need to get help. And like I said, you don't have to be a statistic to become a statistic. What started off with my doctor as a sound of a heart murmur turned out to be this mass in my chest that was growing rapidly, pushing up against my heart. And if it wasn't for that wellness check, if it wasn't for my doctor specializing in cardiology and hearing that heart murmur sound, I'm not sure where I would be at. And so I looked at the statistics, and only 21% of individuals find out about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in stage 1. And so I am one of that 21% that actually found it early, that actually found out before it was able to spread. And so I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for just the experience, to be able to experience with my doctor. And I think that's the other thing, being able to go to the doctor now, and even if the doctor's taking a little more time, being appreciative of that, knowing that on the other side of that time that there may be someone who's just like me, not asking questions or asking all of the questions. And it just varies, that sometimes you don't know what to ask because you don't know, you're still in a state of shock. And so really giving grace for that and understanding that someone needs my doctor. Someone needs my doctor like I did when I first started, and they need them more than I need right now. So time is okay to be able to sit and be able to reflect and be able to go back and say, I remember when that was my journey. And to be on the other side of that is something that's pretty special to me.
Wow. What an incredible journey you've been on. It's interesting to listen to people who've had these near death experiences or a brush with the possibility of death, how it wakes you up to life. A lot of times we live in
Yes.
fear of very small, trivial things. I remember when my brother died, I, like you, went swimming and deep sea diving, and I don't know how to swim. I went bungee jumping. I went, what do you call it, skydiving. All of the things
Nice.
that I was scared of, I overcame them. Now, before we continue, tell me, do you have earpods or a mic?
I have earpods.
Can I ask you to take them off because I can hear that it's distorting your sound a little bit?
Okay.
Let's put the earpods and let's see if the sound improves. So they're on Bluetooth, take them off. Sometimes StreamYard does that when there's earpods involved. And normally your computer mic is good enough. It works.
Just better.
That is a bit better, yes. Okay. All right. So let's now delve into all these questions that I
Is this
have for
better?
you. It is better. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me take you back to that day, the flowers, the diagnosis, and the silence in the doctor's office. What did that moment teach you about life?
I think just the fragility of it, that we make life this huge thing of like just fast paced microwave, what's next? And it just stopped for me in that moment. It stopped and it slowed down. And so I think it taught me patience in that moment, how to be patient and how fragile life is just in an instant.
Yeah, and it sounds to me like when we have these experiences, you realize that the only constant in life is change. Things are
Yes.
changing constantly, nothing stays the same. And yet we do expect things to stay the same. So you say that purpose over platform. What does that phrase truly mean to you today?
Wow, that's powerful. So purpose is the thing that we were born with, the gift that we were born with to help make the world a better place. The platform is our job, whether it's entrepreneurship or working for someone. It's a marketplace that we sell our talents and expertise in exchange for a check, in exchange for favors, or whatever. So yes, those are purpose over platform. A lot of times people confuse the two. They feel like I have to stay in this job because this is what I was born to do, when it's actually the task that gives them joy versus the place that they're doing it at.
That is so true. Now, before your diagnosis, how did you define success? And how has that definition changed?
That's a great question. So before my diagnosis, success was awards, it was the number of certifications that I could complete, it was the level within the company that I could go and grow, and the number of programs that I had that were out in the community helping people. And so it was very quantitative, like measured through certain milestones. After my diagnosis, I feel like life is success. Like being able to take a step back and look at why am I here and what joy did I bring into the world today, but also what joy did I immerse myself in today. And so being more aware of myself and being more aware of my presence, I feel is the greatest success.
Oh, I love that. Now, how did fear show up for you in those first few weeks? And how did you learn to move through that fear?
Wow. So I think in the first few weeks, I think from the first day, like I had already started to prepare myself. And so I feel like fear came in. It was like at that point, I feel like I wouldn't say conquered fear, but I had minimized it. I will say that I minimized it, and it was only two options: either you fight or fold. And so if
Yeah.
I allowed fear to come in, it's like you're folding and you're giving up. And I felt like it's mind over matter. If I allow my mind to fully experience fear, then my body would follow, and that would dictate how my outcomes would be. And so I was determined to fight, even being scared, like still fight.
Now, let's talk about your healing journey. You mentioned feeling like you would jinx it if you talked about your cancer too soon. How did you learn to speak your truth without fear?
Wow, that's powerful. I think just starting out telling a few people at a time and understanding the impact that it had on them, even people that had known me and they had no idea that I had experienced cancer, and they were like, oh my goodness, like I've been working and I haven't gone to the doctor in this long, and now I'm going to go and schedule this appointment and go to the doctor because if you could look like this and be sick, then I could too. And so once I realized that, it became less about me and more about helping people with the tools and the information they needed to maybe have an early intervention or prevention with their doctors. And so I think it was that.
Wow. So, what was the turning point that allowed you to release the fear and share your story publicly?
So I think the turning point was writing a book. So I wrote a best-selling book, Navigating Rough Seas. It's a playbook for reclaiming their power for people who are working in toxic workplaces and helping them to reclaim their power, wellness, and joy. And I
Wow.
feel like we do courses and things like that, and you go and you do speeches, and over time they go away. But when you write a book, that's forever. And so it's like once you're out there, there's no coming back from that. Like the book is there. And I think just being honest and sitting with myself and writing this book was the first open door. And then it's like, okay, now people have read this and they know about it. Now you got to stand strong in it and stand firm in it. And so I think that was the beginning.
Oh, wow. Now, you describe removing your chemo port as a symbolic freedom. How did that act mean spiritually? What did that
Wow.
mean to you spiritually?
Spiritually, I felt like I was reclaiming myself. And it's interesting because it was like I was reclaiming a version of myself that I had never met yet, a version of myself that was stronger and wiser, but someone that I needed to grow into and embrace. And I felt like the chemo port was holding me in that place of fear and like, what if? What if this comes back? What if this doesn't go well? And to release that, it was like a conquest, like this thing that turned out that was started out as a mistaken identity and it chose you, you were able to pull things within you that you didn't even know you had and conquer it. And now you're on the other side of it. And so it was almost like a trophy. And I wanted to keep the port. And they were like, that's nasty. Like, we're not going to give you the port. But that it was like a trophy. Like, I get to take this out and it no longer has control over me. I have control over it.
So, how did this journey change your relationships with yourself, your family, and your work?
I would say first that work, it took a back seat. That work is still important to me, that whatever I do, I'm going to give it my all. But I always say if I had the choice to do 10 things good or 5 things great, I'm going to take the 5 things. And so, really focusing in on the things that bring me joy instead of trying to be everything to everyone, focusing in on those things. I think for myself, it taught me to trust myself more. That if
Yeah.
you make something, if you create this in your mind and you stand firm on it, like God will give you what you need to be successful in it. As far as my relationships, I would say probably because I understand the fragility of life and time, that I'm very no nonsense when it comes to relationships. So if they're not bringing value and bringing good energy, like I'm not engaged in those
What's
type of
happened?
relationships.
Is that on my side or your side? It looks like we dropped off for a minute, right?
Yeah, it looks like you froze for a second.
Okay. So you were saying when you understood the fragility of time, I think that was the last thing I heard.
Yeah, so I think when I understood the fragility of time, I understood how important life was, life over work. And so work took a back seat. And I still value the work that I do and still go above and beyond and making sure that I have good outcomes. But I always say if I have the choice to do 10 things good or 5 things great, then I'm going to choose the 5 things great, that I'm going to hone in on that. I think for myself, it has given me permission to just live, just be the best version of myself, and trust myself that if I make up in my mind that I want to do something and it's aligned with my purpose, just having faith that God will make a provision for me to be able to do it and be successful. And in my relationships, like really being selective of who I allow in my life and being cognizant of the energy that they bring. And just really being no nonsense and being okay with that. I think sometimes we know people are not good for us, but we don't want to be the mean one. Or we don't
Yeah.
want to say it like that. And so it's like, I have to say it. Like life is fragile, life is important. So I'm gonna say it or I'm just gonna distance myself. So
Yeah.
being more intentional.
I love that. Now, you say that your health is your most valuable asset. How can leaders integrate that truth into corporate culture?
Yeah, so I feel like it is a becoming. It is taking action and becoming someone who values health. Putting it on your calendar, like if you had an important meeting, you would schedule and put that meeting on your calendar. And so the things that promote health and wellness should be on your calendar in the same way. For me, I enjoy Zumba. So Zumba is on my calendar. Zoom 5 o'clock, I gotta hop off at this time to go to Zumba and not being ashamed of that. Like letting people know if, at work, if hey, we have a meeting, I have to get off at this time because I have to get ready to go to exercise. I need to take this time off to go to my doctor's appointment. And so really being more intentional about that, I think, and understanding that at a certain point you want to retire and this job is just it's a temporary thing in your life. But your body is something that you have to live for and live with until you leave Earth. And so you really want to take care of that so you can have a good quality of life outside of work.
I love it. So, what are the hidden costs of women overperforming and under listening to their bodies?
Ooh, there are so many. So there is this effect called the allostatic load, and it basically talks about the amount of stress that people take on and how that stress creates health challenges. And so Black women actually have one of the highest allostatic loads. And when I think of allostatic load, I think of a sponge and water just continuously being poured on it. And if you
Wow.
take that sponge and you try to clean a countertop, it would be soaking wet. And so it's that taking on things. And so with that, there's disparities in cancer, there's health disparities as far as mortality rates, maternal mortality rates, diabetes, heart disease, hair loss, and so many other health effects that
Yeah.
come from people not prioritizing their health and just taking it on. And I always say, just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Just because you can take on another task doesn't mean that it's healthy or that it's wise to do so.
Yeah. That is so true. And we forget these things, you know. These are such simple truths that all of us forget. And it's so beautiful that you're waking us up and reminding us of that this morning.
Yes.
So, in what ways can women executives redefine power without burning out?
Yes, I think it requires us to reframe our mindset. I think so many of us have grown up in a culture where work is the priority and
Yeah.
success is defined by work. And so that kind of creates this hamster wheel where we work to get more success and then we just keep doing it. And I think we have to be more intentional about disrupting that and be more intentional about prioritizing our wellness and then being intentional and taking action with that. If I prioritize my health, there are certain things that I'm gonna do and certain things that I'm not gonna do. So I think being okay with health and wellness being your number one success. I think that has to be the shift in paradigm versus the awards and accolades. Like me being healthy is my biggest win. It's my biggest award. It's the biggest thing that I can do in appreciation for my body and for my time on this earth.
Man. Now, my last two questions for you are a bit of a thought experiment.
Mm-hmm.
In the first one, I am going to teleport you back to go and have a conversation with the younger you, this younger woman who found herself in the middle of a health crisis out of the blue. If I could take you back to go and have a conversation with this young woman, what three nuggets of wisdom would you share with her based on what life has taught you up until this point?
Wow. I would say that it's not that serious, that life is not that serious, and success is how you define it, that you are not defined by other people's definition of success, that you are defined by your own definition. That would be one thing. The second thing is, like we talked about earlier, is live now. That tomorrow is not promised to you, this evening is not promised to you. And so what is it that you've always wanted to do? And do it. If you wanted to learn how to swim, if there's a dress that you've been holding on to, wear it. Live, eat healthy, but like enjoy your life. And the third thing is setting boundaries, setting healthy boundaries. I think is important of things that we're willing to do, things that we're not willing to do, and establishing those in a way that prioritizes your self-love and making sure that people understand that and that you hold firm to it. And I think over time that teaches people how to treat us, that teaches people to value our health and our wellness.
I love that. Last question, I'm going to teleport you into the future this time. And we are going to go and meet the 90-year-old you.
Wow.
And she's sitting in her rocking chair. Maybe she's on a dance floor with your defiant spirit. I can see you on your feet, vibrant and healthy and doing something else that's a little bit crazy. But if I can take you into the future to meet this wise woman who has led you up until that point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
Wow. I would say we did it. We did it. We made it. And no matter how hard things may have been or felt, we didn't give up. And because of that, we're here today. And we are dancing. We are on the dance floor. Maybe we are in our 90s and still driving, but that we created all of these things and put all of these boundaries in to be in this space at 90 years old, and not just any 90-year-old, but a vibrant, healthy, happy 90-year-old. And so I would say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to see that the things that I did were not in vain, that this was the place that we're supposed to be, the time that we're supposed to be in, and the condition that we're supposed to be living in.
Fantastic. What a beautiful way to end our podcast. Now, is there anything I should have asked you and I didn't?
Wow. I think you've asked all the questions.
Fantastic. I did a good job then. Thank you so
did a
much.
wonderful job.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to help take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So you might be a woman sitting at home, you've been given that diagnosis of the big C, your mind is running into fear, looking at death. Try and reframe it. Here's an example of how you can do that and reach out and get the help and support that you need. I did share your website at the bottom of the screen, but I will share it again just in case there's someone out there who is needing support. It doesn't have to be done alone. Connect and get the support that you need. And do share this podcast if you know somebody else who needs the help. I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Dr. Freeman, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you so much.
Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.